Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by BioSteel. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. I'm with my other co-host, Phil Stockley, Philadelphia. How's it going?
Going good. Just got home from some U7 practice. It was wild and crazy tonight out there on the ice. So we're all good. Happy to be here tonight.
We're all good, eh? Yeah, no, things are good. Things are good. So, yeah, just you and I tonight. Just a little solo act next episode. We'll tease this. We're gonna get into some NHL news and notes, but tomorrow we have a special interview with Vernon Fiddler dropping. So just to let everyone know, that was a very special appearance, and Vern is always a very loving interview. Everyone just absolutely dies for the Fiddler content, and so he joins us coming up here next episode. So that'll be episode I think like 162 around there. We're getting up there. We're almost pushing that to 200 there. So try to get someone big for 200. But how are things with you, man? How's things going?
It's going well. I like I just said, lots of hockey work starting to pick up a bit here too. So can't complain. Uh, Hockey is definitely starting to wind down too. I think the U11's only got a couple of regular season games left. So once it's done, I'll probably miss it a lot. I really love going to the rink and watching them play. So
Yeah.
just enjoying that, enjoying time with the boys and the family, and can't really complain about life right now. How about you?
Oh no. Yeah, just things are just rolling here. I had the funeral for my friend yesterday, so just dealing with that, and just kind of dealing with the day to day stuff. But some of the podcast stuff has been picking up, and got a nice little message the other day about something that could shake down here pretty quick for us. That might be some pretty big news.
Game changer.
Yeah, it could be a game changer. So
Yeah, they're big time, buddy.
yeah, so we'll stay tuned for that. They're looking forward to kind of how that could shake down. But
Some other big news: the 2 months ball hockey team moving up.
yeah, we're moving up the ladder. We're going from Div 11 to Div 9, and you're we're doing pretty good. I think we're 6-1 or 7-1 or something like that. 6-1, I think. So another big test on the weekend here to see where things shake down. But yeah, no, things are going pretty good on the ball hockey front. Our good friend Dave had a hat trick last game, so hat trick Dave is his new name now in the group chat. So
Isn't it Hattrick Dale? Because they called him Dale for like the first
they
week he was on the
did,
team.
yeah, yeah. His actual name is Dave, but yeah, they kept on calling him Dale, so he just kind of went
Great
with it.
guy.
Yeah,
I got to go along for the ride on his line last night. It was pretty special. So
yeah, that was pretty sweet. So yeah, no, and I finally got my main gear working from the John Reed. I had broken some of my podcast gear there, and finally got the replacement parts in, and so sounding a
yeah,
little
you're sounding fresh and crispy tonight,
yeah,
buddy.
that sounds a little bit better, right? So it's all about that sound and getting that in there, and making sure things are rolling pretty good. So but yeah, looking forward to kind of the week ahead. But let's break down this Calgary Flames game from the other night, Phil, against the Rangers. I know a few days old here, but Jacob Trouba can hit, and he can hit hard. Thoughts on kind of the recent play of the Calgary Flames, sponsored by Martelou Barbershop in Calgary. Nick and his team sponsoring that segment. Go down and see those guys for a haircut, clean shave, all that. Let them know that the Two Bots podcast sent you. Those guys will hook you up. Phil, Calgary Flames, what's going on, buddy?
You could just take what I've said for the last 2 months and just play it again. Just, insert the clip here of what I said last time and the time before that and the time before that, because it's same old story with these Calgary Flames. You win one, you lose one. You lose games you really have to win, and then you win games that you probably shouldn't win. I don't understand this team. Uh, like I said, I sound like a broken record when I talk about them. Uh, No game breaker on this team. No one that's going to get you that goal in the last minute when you're down. No one that's going to step up in
The only guy that
overtime.
really will get it is our boy Toffoli, right? And that's you need more than one,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So you can't
He
always
can't play the
I
whole
can't
game, right?
yeah,
Like,
Toffoli can't play the full 60. So but yeah, finish your thought there.
no, it's all good. So then, like the Rangers game, for example, it almost like looks like the Flames don't like big boy hockey, right? They start getting pushed around a little bit, and
Yeah.
where's the pushback, right? I
Well,
like I like to see,
the only one in that lineup that can do it on any given night is Luch, and he's our boy. But that was a rough night for him, and I hate saying it because that's a good friend of ours and whatnot. But Blay hit him up, and there was a clip that I saw today on social media that Luch actually challenged him to a fight later in a shift, and Blade just skated away twice. So
well, probably a smart move.
100%. Yeah, you're not going to win that one. So, but yeah, no, I'd
But
say
I like
because Richie's
you
not in the
can't
lineup,
have
right? Yeah,
right. But you can't have like Chris Tanev coming off of a shoulder injury
no,
throwing knucks with Trouba. Like
no,
that shouldn't be happening. And then who else fought? Didn't Uyghur fight too?
no. Uyghur fought too, and Dubé, right? So
And Dubé.
yeah,
And so,
all three of those
I
guys
really
aren't.
like
Go ahead. Sorry.
I really like that Dubé stepped up for Kadri. And by the way, that was an awesome hit. That's like old school Scott Stevens, except for clean, you know, like I don't know what Kadri's doing there, like just cutting to the middle, like it belongs to him, and
I think
just
sometimes
got absolutely cranked.
Well, I think sometimes you're getting complacent, not thinking Trouba's out there. When Trouba's out there, you got to keep your head up. Like John Scott was on with us not too long ago, and he said the same thing. It's when that guy's on the ice, everyone should be like, okay, he's out, eight's number out, eight's out here, eight's out here. So, and ever
Yeah.
since Leon Draisaitl in Madison Square Garden showed up and disrespected Jacob Trouba has been on a tear and ripping the NHL apart ever
Oh,
since.
he's a madman out there.
Yeah, and I would be interesting to see what that matchup in Edmonton is going to look like if Trouba is going to, he's lit up let Draisaitl before, so there's a bit of a rivalry there. He's hurt Draisaitl before in a hit where Draisaitl had to miss some games the year after the Oilers lost to the Ducks in the playoffs that following season. Draisaitl had to miss some games because he took a big hit when Trouba was with the Jets, but this is the Jacob Trouba that's been advertised for a while, and this is the reason why he's the captain of the New York Rangers, right?
Absolutely. And I had my questions for sure when they named Trouba the captain. I have a good friend who's a Rangers fan, and he just said, the room decided. It was the room's decision, and they decided they all picked Jacob Trouba. And obviously they know Jacob Trouba a lot better than I know Jacob Trouba, and Jacob Trouba. So if they think he's captain material, like I don't know, lately he's kind of stepped up and got his team going and fired up. Like you even think back to the Chicago Blackhawks game when he's hucking his helmet around, getting all fired up.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think a lot of people are looking back. Like there's that one he had there, and there's the big fight he had in center ice with Brady Tkachuk too, and those were some big ones there.
Right.
But really, since that Oiler game when they lost, when the Oilers came back and had that great game, the Rangers have kind of been taken off a bit. Like they've been rolling, and they're a deep team, and there's competition now with that team, and like Lafreniere, who got the game winner, was a healthy scratch not too long ago. So it's Turk is doing a good job pushing the buttons there too, and the Rangers seem good. They got the Canucks right now tonight, so but I think the Rangers are a pretty good team, Phil.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, and you got Shesterkin in net. You're always gonna bet on that guy as well.
Yeah, and Halak's been pretty good as of late too in his last six starts. He's been giving them the run support that they need to give Shesterkin that rest, and wasn't like that to start the year for Halak, but he's definitely picked it up as of late.
Well,
Thoughts?
you talk about Lafreniere there, like he got that overtime winner. My question to you is, what is Zadorov doing out there in overtime? I
Yeah,
love Zadorov. I love Zadorov. I think he's had a great couple years with Calgary. I think he's a solid defenseman, but is he a 3-on-3 player?
no, and I think that's something you and I talked about after the game when we broke it down, just a little bit of a chat here. Probably would have like you pointed out, you're probably gonna have to run with Hannafin on the next guy out. It's like you start with Rasmus Anderson. I think Noah Hannafin needs to be the next guy out. Then I think you need to go Mackenzie Weegar. That's how I would break up the three. I know Zadorov is he's like Daryl likes him a lot, and he's got 8 or 9 goals on the year. He's playing pretty good, especially in mainly a third pairing role. He's out kicked this coverage, but that one there, yeah, that's just a tough one for him. And skated by a puck, he's got to be better there. He's got to know that puck's going to stop around that point and not there. And I think he was kind of worried about getting hit, and then he ended up getting hit because I think Mangiapane hit him after, so they both collided there. So
Right.
just get worried about getting hit from his own player. But
And
it's an
another
amazing save
question
by
too.
Markstrom, right? So
Absolutely, yeah. And another question, when's the last time we saw Huberto out in overtime?
yeah, it's been a while. He usually gets in that third or fourth rotation, which is not good enough. You got to get him out in that first or second, in my opinion. I understand you want to start with all the, defensive Swedes and in the backs and the Lindies and the Rasmus Andersons. Like you want to start with those guys and get those guys going. You want to kind of start with the defensive mind first and then get your offensive guys going after, knowing that it's weird saying it because, like some of those guys they're good players in that game. But I think he was going with what was happening because Backlund already had 2 assists in the game and he was rolling. But Toffoli went on and he quickly went off. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see kind of if that strategy will stay the same or if Daryl kind of switches that up. I like how he switched up the power play units. That's something that's going to be pretty good. And now you got some competition. I heard him speaking
Yep.
today. It keeps some of the lines that are together, and then he singled out Pelche and he's like, maybe that's something. Maybe we need. He's like, we need a spark from Pelche, and maybe this is the spark he gets through some power play minutes, right? So, your
Yep.
thoughts?
All in all, though, I think the Rangers Flames game was an amazing game. It was a
Best
great
game of the
hockey
year.
game.
Yeah.
I think Friedman tweeted that was the best game of the year.
Yeah, and I would agree. I've watched a lot of games this year too, and I would say, in my opinion, what I saw that was the best game of the year. But just not the best outcome for Flame fans for sure. But Markstrom, another solid performance, and they got it. They got a couple games coming up here, a couple back to back. So we'll see what happens. Who do you want to go with next? And would you go with Vladar? Would you go with Markstrom next game?
You want to get Markstrom going,
Yeah,
but at the same time, you need the points right now.
yeah,
What's Vladar's record in his last
he's
7
unreal.
games? Is he
Yeah,
once?
yeah, yeah. He's pretty good, man. He's hold his own. So I would say it wouldn't be a bad thing to go with Vladar. Maybe every 2, 3, maybe every 3 games you mix Markstrom in just for a couple, in a 6 game rotation, and then you see where you're at after 2 starts with him, and if he's won those 2, then you ride him a bit. Like at the end of the day, if they're going to be doing anything in the playoffs, they need him to be their guy at the end of the day when it comes down to it. Tree Living, we'll see what he does, see if he adds, but I kind of agree with kind of the Flames Twitter here. Where the team's at right now, I wouldn't be sacrificing first round picks or any top prospects like Wall or Pelche or Zari or any of those guys. I'd be very standing pat on it. If you can get, the only way I get rid of something like that is if I get something with like 2 to 3 years left on term. Obviously you're not. I think the day and age of us seeing like these great big trades with a pending UFA, knowing that he's not going to resign, I think are done. Like Kyle Dubas it's happened a lot to him and it's burnt him pretty big with, the Felinos and stuff like that trades. I think those aren't happening anymore. Usually if you're getting a UFA guy, you're probably going to resign him in my opinion. Right. So, and
Absolutely.
same with Colorado had a few of those guys, and then those guys stayed in Colorado, like the Coglianos and stuff like that, and the Darren Helms. So, those kind of players are definitely interesting there. You got to figure a way to get Huberto going here though, but I don't think we're going to see the Huberto that we saw up till next year. I don't think I think this year is just a pretty much and I hate saying, I think it's a write off. I don't think
I think you actually said that early in the season to me, like
yeah,
on a phone call one day. You told me like Huberto's not gonna have a great year this year. He's gonna have a great year next year. That's what you told me.
yeah.
So
And that's kind of
hopefully you're right.
yeah, because I think like anyone that's gone through a breakup or something traumatic like that in their life, like the guy had a career amount of points, and the team was in the President's Trophy conversation, like won the President's Trophy. Like you don't think you're getting traded, right? So you're on a
Right.
golf course and you get a phone call, you're traded. I think it takes a bit of time to get adjusted to that, and he's never played in the Canadian market in the NHL wise, like obviously he did in junior, but so I wouldn't really, I think what you're getting out of Huberto is what you're getting. I think what you're getting out of Calgary is what you're getting. The one big disappointment, I did not expect Mackenzie Weegar to have this kind of fall off from where he was. So, and I both think Mackenzie Weegar and Aaron Ekblad both missed each other. And, so we'll see. Obviously, that match isn't going to ever happen again. But I think the biggest thing is we miss Oliver Shillington, and I said this to a couple other people. We said this last pod with the group. You lose your two top four defensemen because Tana's been in and out of the lineup a bit this year. That's going to hurt you. And at the end of the day, Oliver Shillington proved to us last year he's a top four defenseman. Is he a one or two?
Yeah, talk about who needs to be out there in overtime, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so I think they really miss him, and I think we're starting to see a lot more of it now. And I think just the way he could skate the puck out, and Tanev can stop the cycle. The puck goes to Shillington. Shillington gets the puck out, gets it to the forwards, and boom, it's in the net. Right? Like it's, So I think the value of we saw, and I don't know what's going on with him, but we hope everything's going good, and we hope to see him back on the ice when he sees fit for him. But he's been missed dearly for this organization, and the fans miss him a lot, and I'm sure his teammates miss him a lot too, because everything you kind of see and whatnot is an amazing person as well, and a teammate, right? So yeah.
That's it. What else can we say about the Flames?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Daryl's doing what he can. People need to take it easy on Daryl here. He's trying everything he can for what he's got.
And let's not forget, this is Tree Living's last year here, so
Yeah, he doesn't have
he's
a
he's gonna
contract for
he's
next
gonna be
year.
trying pretty hard here to get things going, I think.
Yeah, this is his last year on his contract. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't come back. But if he doesn't, then I think he did the best he could with his tenure at the Calgary Flames. But there's still a lot of hockey left, and hopefully everything goes well for him here. But we'll move on to our Edmonton Oilers, sponsored by our friends at
Breaking news.
Shadified Salon and Barbershop.
Yeah.
Mo, Shadi, and the team there. Go see the guys at Shadified. They'll take care of you. Breaking news, Phil. What's that breaking?
You're looking fresh with the haircut from
Yeah.
Shadified. You got one yet? Was it yesterday?
2 days ago. Yeah. Yeah.
2 days ago. Yeah, you look good, nice and
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah. Shadi took care of me. I got the
Nice.
nice clean shaven too. So, but Phil, breaking news. What happened to the Oilers?
Breaking news today. The
Did
Oilers
can
are
you
winning the Stanley Cup.
No way. They are winning the Stanley Cup. That might be our title for the episode. So, winners of 8 of their last 9. And 8-0-1. You listen to Edmonton media, you look at the fans on Twitter, you listen to some fans in group chats. The Oilers have won the Stanley Cup, and they're going to win the Stanley Cup. On top of that, they are the toughest team in the NHL, according to the fans and the media here in Edmonton. So actually, I don't want to say we're being a little sarcasm to that, but the kind of I put out a tweet through our Instagram, our Twitter account. Vander Kane had some comments after the game. The game got a little bit dusty. I don't think it was much there. I don't think the Oilers are a team that scares a lot of people. I think people need to kind of come down on that. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but especially Vander Kane, you want to be chirping, you want to talk. You haven't fought in 3 years, bud. So, you kind of got to back it up here too. So, and there's a clear footage in the playoffs last year when Luch laid out McDavid, and Luch went after Kane. Well, Kane went after him. Luch went back at him. Luch dropped his gloves. Kane kept his gloves on and hid behind the linesman. So if Kane wants to be talking about people hiding beside the linesman, you just got to go watch that footage. And we shared it on our Twitter account. But I'm just saying, man, like footage is there. And he's not wrong. I'm not saying he's not wrong in what he's saying. The Oilers have gotten tougher, but I don't think they're scaring teams. And, I don't think teams are intimidated by them by any means. And I don't think you also, I'll say this, I don't think you need to fight to intimidate. And that's kind of what Kane does. Kane doesn't fight and he intimidates more by words or by talking. Um, but especially with his injury, I wouldn't expect him to fight either. Like he's probably not going to be 100% until like sometime this time next year with that injury. So I wouldn't expect him to kind of be dropping the clubs anytime soon here, just because I don't think it's going to be a fair fight with kind of what his injuries had. And I think there's probably a reason why he hasn't fought in 3 years too. But your thoughts on the Oilers, the toughness, team, all that, Phil?
Well, the thing about the Oilers, I always find, especially when Oiler fans talk to me, their measuring stick is always the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
And the Calgary Flames are having a terrible season. So it seems like when the Oilers are doing better than the Flames, it's like that's good enough. We're the best team ever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I look at this team and it's like, are you really getting past Boston this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Pacific Division is junk.
Yeah.
Like it's actually pretty bad.
Yeah. It's not.
You're playing in the easiest division in the league,
Yeah.
and you're it's like you're on this island. You don't realize that there's other NHL games going on. There's other NHL teams going like really rolling this year. Like you I don't know. I don't want to be rude and disrespectful and like take away what the Oilers are actually doing because they are actually on a heater right now and they are winning games and they are doing what they need to do.
And they're keeping the
And you know what they
down and everything, right? So it's all kind of working. And that configuration of 11-7 has worked magic since Darnay's come up. So it is amazing, right?
but that's the thing. I feel like when Oiler fans get way too excited and start talking about the Stanley Cup, that's when things go downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. It,
And today, when that came out with the Oilers are the Stanley Cup champions, 2023 Stanley Cup champions, I'm like, watch, be careful, guys.
yeah. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen this before.
Yeah. It's a tough road at times. Like you got to give them credit where credit's due. And that's kind of what we'll do that now. And, 8-0-1 in their last 9 games. That's amazing. Campbell looks like he's found his game. So he's back to where he was.
Yeah,
His
good
number,
for him.
his goals
He's a
against
great guy.
yeah, his goals against its save percentage will probably not go to the way it wants to, like because it was so bad early on. It's going to take a like remarkable kind of numbers for it to get down to the 900s and maybe the 2.115 or 2.12 kind of goals against. It's going to take a while for him to get there, or even under two. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing they look at is wins, and his column in the win column is looking pretty good. So great for him. And they got a good team. And I think last night was the first game that the Oilers won a game where Draisaitl and McDavid didn't have 2 or more points. Like it was just McDavid had the one
Yep.
assist, and like I still think that's a weird stat. Like that's not a good stat to have. But you can't criticize them though when the depth guys are now scoring when the depth guys don't score. So the depth guys are scoring, and something's going to give here in the next 24 to 48 hours with Jesse Puljujärvi. Um, I'm told, we talked to the insiders, there's no trade here. No one wants him. They can't unload him. Ken Holland doesn't want to. He's on record to say he doesn't want to give up any more draft picks that he's already given up. And right now, the deal is, if Jesse Puljujärvi goes out, they got to give another third round pick in that trade, and then they'll probably get around like maybe a 6th or 7th round pick back, and it's just a straight salary dump to get Yamamoto on the roster. There's a good chance here you'll see Jesse Puljujärvi on waivers, and then he'll go down to Bakersfield, and then maybe by March 3rd, maybe someone will just take them to take their hands off. But the Oilers aren't getting like a big defenseman here. They're not getting a big forward here. It's dollar in, dollar out. Ken Holland said it on Ryan Rashog's podcast. He said it with Bob Stauffer. It's just not happening. They're tight against the cap. They're going to be tight against the cap next year too. But this is McDavid and Draisaitl's prime here, and they need to figure things out. They need to, we know what their needs are. If they go into the playoffs and they don't win, we can just easily say, hey, you didn't win because we knew what your needs are and you didn't fix them. And Ken Holland's kind of strapped, and I don't like the salary cap to begin with. I think it should be a soft cap. I don't think it should be a hard cap. I think you should be able to, one player that's been on your roster for 5 years that you've drafted, develop, that if he's had 5 years of service in the NHL, that 6th year, his full salary cap should go into a different pool where it doesn't count against the cap. And then you should be able to get another player, but under like $6 million, where half of his cap counts against the cap and half of it doesn't. And because I don't think teams should be punished for drafting and developing good. And you know what? The Oilers have done a good job drafting and developing defensemen. They're slowly getting there with their forwards, with you know Holloway and McLeod. You know, Yamamoto had 20 goals, so can't really like it's pretty hard to score in this league. So 20 goal scorer, he's done something in the game to be pretty good. And then Jesse Puljujärvi's been up and down, so it's been a bit tough there. So there's like 4 forwards there that they've kind of drafted and developed, and they probably hit on 3 of the 4. You know, the Jesse Puljujärvi experience is probably over here. But you know, Broberg's playing good, and Desharnais has been their savior. So that's probably why they probably won't really do anything on defense. And it's not like we haven't seen a team won a Stanley Cup going 11-7. Tampa Bay did it. So the Oilers do win it, and they get in the dance, and they could do some damage. You know, it seems to fit this this prerogative of that. But Phil, one thing I want to get your take on, since Jay Woodcroft has taken over for the Edmonton Oilers, dating back to last year, he has the 4th best winning percentage as a head coach in the NHL since then. What's your thoughts on Jay Woodcroft as a head coach?
Well, from what I've heard, he's kind of a player's coach, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the guys must really love him in the room. And for me personally, like growing up, like coaches that were kind of like players coaches and like you really loved and you really wanted to go to battle for and go play for, that's when I played my best for a coach. So maybe that's the key to success here is these guys just really want to go to battle for this guy. And he's like how old is Woodcroft?
You know, I don't know. He's probably maybe in his mid 40s, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, so
Pretty sure he died. I'm
maybe
pretty sure he dyes his hair. So it's a
he's actually like
like
60.
that's like Paul Heyman hair. So, but I'm pretty sure.
No, but he,
Yeah.
maybe he can like relate to these guys a little bit better than a guy like Daryl Sutter.
Yes.
Like Daryl Sutter played the game and Daryl Sutter played at a high level, the highest level in the NHL. So he can relate to them in that way, but the game has changed so much
Yeah.
too. You get a guy like Woodcroft, so who's maybe a little younger, maybe understands these guys a little better, and that's just my thoughts. Like maybe these guys just really want to go to bat for this coach and
That's
really love
probably
him. So
yeah. I could agree with that. I think that's very well said. I think
what do you think?
I think he's done a good job. I think he's come in, he's given them, stability. Like it was rough at the start of the year, but that this is where I worry with them going down the stretch here. So Stahl said that they had the second worst, the second toughest schedule coming into the season for the first 38 games, and obviously they didn't do so well. So they're taking advantage of what they're getting now. I really want to see when they get into those games again against the LAs, the Colorados, the Minnesotas, the Dallases, all those kind of tough teams. What is this team made of? Like, what are they going to do? Like, obviously, we know what Draisaitl and McDavid are going to do, and Hyman and Nuge are having all 4 of those guys are just lights out this year, and Kane has got back goals in back-to-back games, and again, come back to Kane. You probably don't need Kane to fight, and fighting's going down in the NHL. Just my problems with Kane is don't go in the media and say what you said there, because I know some of it's true, but like you kind of got to back up your word here too. And there's some footage here that Kane's hiding behind some linesmen too, and he keeps on talking about players hiding behind linesmen. You're one of them too. Like that straight footage of Luch like dropping his gloves ready to go. You could have went with him, you didn't. So and you know you're not. And I understand why he doesn't want to go with him. Luch is the toughest guy in the NHL. He'll beat you up. Like so, why would you want to fight a guy that you know is going to beat you up, man? That's not fun. So so I get Kane in a way, but just kind of be swap picking there is not the best thing for you. And and I appreciate guys like Costin, who'll just go down with anyone. He'll just fight anyone. And whether he wins or loses the fight, he's going to drop him. So Kane hasn't fought in 3 years. That needs to be looked at. There's a situation there to be looked at. But, this is a deep team at the end of the day with what they can do up front, and they can score. And give them credit. The last 16 games, they've been able to keep the goals against down, and there's penalty kill's gone better, and those were things that were concerned. So, but those are against lesser teams, and you need to take advantage of it. And the problem is when you look at the Flames aren't taking advantage of those games when they play them. Like Chicago's beating them, and a couple other teams have beaten them. That's why the Flames are in the situation that they're in. But Vandy said it a couple podcasts ago. If the Flames get into the playoffs, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with because they have been in these 1-goal games. They've been in the tough games, so they've been able to kind of stay in tight games, and that's something the Oilers are slowly getting better at. They're not there yet, but they're slowly getting better at, and they got 2 good goaltenders right now too. So it's that hasn't happened here in a long time, to the point that they've had, but we'll see what happens for them. And I don't know if there's anything more you want to add on the Oiler front there, Phil.
Yeah, I was listening to Rashog this afternoon on the way home, and he was just saying that Oiler fans expect the Oilers to just go grab Chikrin, or they expect him to go get this big stud defenseman, and he just basically said there's no money. There's no room for these
Yeah,
guys on this team.
and
He was saying too that, if you're the Arizona Coyotes and the Oilers are like, "Hey, we want Chikrin, but you got to eat 50% of his salary," and then you got the LA Kings who come in just a clean trade, done. This guy for this guy, done. Who are
yeah,
you going to trade with?
yeah. I and if I'm
Those were Rashog's words. Those aren't
yeah,
my thoughts. Those are
no, and
Rashog's
I agree.
thoughts.
I heard that too. I heard that interview live too. Um, I've been saying this for a while too, like about Chikrin. It's such a great deal. Why are the Coyotes eat any of that? Like, makes no sense for the Coyotes to eat any of it. That's why they're getting they want 2 first-round picks. It's a cheap contract for 3 more years. He is on cost control. What other more cost control do you need? Like Bill Armstrong, if he's going to eat 50%, he needs to get a third like 3 first-round picks for him, for crying out loud. If that's like, it's a good contract, man.
Yeah,
LA, and like you're right, LA can do it because they got probably the best group of draft picks and pools that players that they can offer. So it's I don't see why that cannot happen for LA. And imagine Drew Doughty and Jacob Chikrin on the back end. That's gonna it could be a
yeah. Look
be
out.
reckoned with, right? And that LA's a good team, man, and they're getting some saves. And but yeah, I don't know. That's but and you, like, not to call out our buddy Broads here in the chat, but it's like they're getting this, they're getting that. It's like, and I'm just saying that that's a lot of Oiler fans, and how much and please DM us on this. This is my question to you, Oiler fans. How many of you guys, and I'm not trying to be rude, but how many of you guys watch other NHL games besides the Oilers? Say if the Oilers aren't playing tonight, like they aren't, are you watching some of the games that are going on tonight? Like, how much of other games do you guys watch? Please DM us. I'm just curious to know. And just because sometimes like you talk to some of the guys and they're like, well, they'll talk about this player or that player, and it's like, well, they don't really know much about that player though, too, right? So it's like I'm just curious to know how much they watch. Some of the trade requests. I think you guys can tell sometimes too. Even Stoff, you can tell it when he's getting these call-in segments on his show. There's a bit of like, I don't know, like last week, Stoff this guy called in and got to get this player, and guy's been a healthy scratch most of the year. Stoff's like, how would that guy do any good for us? He's been a healthy scratch where he's playing. So it's just like, it's just a name to bring up, but you kind of got to know your research too. And I'm just interesting to know, even Flame fans, we'll put it out to the Flame fans. How many games do you guys watch of other teams if your Flames aren't playing or if your Oilers aren't playing? Like, let us know. Send us a DM on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Be interested to know how many guys are watching some of these other games, because I do think there's some pretty smart hockey fans out there, Phil.
Absolutely. And like I was just thinking, like, while we were talking, like you said earlier in this Oilers segment here, that if someone wants to, if like you're trading Puljujärvi, you're giving up a pick too.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like, people just think, oh, you can just do Puljujärvi straight across for somebody else. Like, guys don't want him.
No.
Teams
They've
don't
been
want
trying to
this
trade
guy.
this guy for 3 years. They ain't taking him. So
But my question to you is, like, do you like, could Puljujärvi go to a different team and be a better player?
I think there's a possibility. I think there's something to say for sure. That we have seen it before. Luchushkin's one of them.
Sam Bennett
Sam Bennett's another one.
on, yeah.
There's cases to be had. Fresh place, different mind. I just don't know. Like hockey IQ is, I think, is the biggest thing for Puljujärvi, and I don't know how you get that. You don't have it here, and somehow you get it somewhere else. But maybe being around a team that's a little bit more, open to having you and putting you in, I wouldn't say positions to succeed because I think he's been put in many great positions here in his time in Edmonton. Like how better can you have it playing with McDavid and Draisaitl? So it's a tough one,
But
man.
I know you say like you ignore the media like as a player, you'd
You
probably
don't.
have
You
to.
don't. You
But
don't.
if I'm in the NHL and every time I turn around it's someone's bashing the way I play,
Hmm.
I'm gonna feel pretty crappy about myself too.
Yeah. Hey man, Pedersen said it in his interview with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Freeman. He doesn't know if he wants to be the next captain of the Vancouver Canucks. And Daryl Sutter said it at the start of the year. It's pretty hard to be a captain in a Canadian market. I'm not talking about Puljujärvi being a captain. That's just being a captain. On top, if you're not a captain, all the other stuff that has to go with it. It's tough, man. It's not easy playing in a Canadian market, and it's probably not easy playing in some of these hotbed markets in the U.S. too, where but in the US, at least you can go around and they might not recognize you. In Canada, they know who you are. They know when you're walking into a Subway or a Starbucks or whatever. They're having let alone the conversation, the picture and the autograph following that up too. So that can be a lot. And the support and the passion of fans is a lot for sure. But it's a wear and tear on a guy. We had the Foley on. He didn't like how he was getting bashed when he was playing in Montreal, and then he gets to Calgary, and they're like, the team does good, and he's like, yeah, we team did good because Toffoli was the anchor on the team. It's like he said it on the pod. He's like, how does that make a guy feel? Like the team just played better because they were playing for a better coach that knew the game, that understood the game, and can teach the game. And who knows what happens with the Flames? And something you and I have talked about. Maybe Daryl goes upstairs, Brad doesn't come back, and hey, maybe Jerome McGinley comes and coaches his team. I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that can happen there, but Daryl Sutter is not only a head coach, he's a general manager too. And I think people need to kind of keep in mind in that. And I think a lot of people, if you're not so onto the game, I think you can really tell that that's kind of how it is there. So Daryl plays what Daryl wants, and that should be kind of how it is. The general manager should never tell the coach how to pick his roster or pick his lineup. Maybe he can give you the players that he needs, but if you're playing a guy, the GM could easily just take him off. But I think going forward here, we need to figure out the Flames need to figure out what their situation is, get that better going forward. Hopefully that figures itself out. The Oilers are rolling now. Let's see how much more this can roll. If they keep this on, they're going to win the division, and they'll be a tough out in the playoffs. And McDavid going,
And they could win the Stanley Cup.
they could if further going into the
Yeah.
playoffs is good for the game. Like Connor McDavid winning a Stanley Cup in any team is good for the game. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's the Oilers.
100%.
Connor McDavid deserves a Stanley Cup, and
As much as it pains me.
it's true, man, because it would be a hard injustice for that guy to play his whole career in this market and not win one. Like players like that need to win
Like
the Stanley Cup because he
and
does.
like you think of a guy like Jerome McGinley, never won a Stanley Cup. How sad is that? It is an injustice.
Yeah, it is. So and he got robbed too, right? He got sorely robbed during his time. And that Theodore should never won that trophy. Like it should have been Jerome McGinley's trophy to win. So that was an absolute joke in its own right too. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But let's move on to a few other things here. I think that's enough there for that talk there, in our opinion there. What was your
We
thought?
love you, Oiler fans. We do love you, Oiler
Yeah,
fans.
I know you're. It's different with no Trevor and Vandy and Broads to kind of come from a strong Oilers angle here. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. It's a, there's a tough pill there to swallow with them. But I'll do my best to give you guys your kudos as much as it is as a Leaf fan and a supporter of the Calgary Flames, because the Calgary Flames have done everything they can to support us here at the Two Months Podcast. So just saying, it hasn't really happened on the other side of it here. We try every time with the Oilers, and it just doesn't happen. So don't blame us, man. Blame that PR staff there that just don't want to help out. We try every time, and I'm just saying it. We try every single time to press play. It's just I know I'm calling them out, but Peter Hanlon at the Flames. Anytime we need support, need a guest, he's willing to help us out. So it's there. And So yeah, we'll move on to the All-Star game. What was your thoughts on the All-Star game, Philly?
Um, I caught some of the skills competition. I caught very little of the All-Star game. I was in a rink all weekend with my little guys. But we got home from hockey on the Friday night and we watched the skills competition or Saturday. When was the skills? Friday night?
Friday night and All-Star games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All-Star game was Saturday. Yeah, we played the skills competition for a little bit. The boys ate it up. Like my kids ate it up. They thought it was cool. They thought it was funny, seeing Matthew Kachuk in the dunk tank, stuff like that. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I wouldn't sit down and watch it if I didn't have the two little guys with me. Uh, at the end of the day, who's it for? Is it for me?
No, I think it's for the kids, and it's mainly for the people that in
Yeah.
the arena that are at the event. I don't think like Kelly Rudy said, it's a family event. It's more an event for the people there. I don't think the All-Star game is. I do think they need to change it up. I just straight up, I just think they need to go back to the way it was, East versus West, 5-on-5, a full on.
Yep.
Um,
100%.
Obviously the accurate shooter, that's a top one. Fastest skater, it's a top one. Harder shots, a top one. The other ones aren't really made for TV. The goalies doing their thing. That like Biz said it on his podcast. It's not made for TV. I 100% agree. It's not made for TV either. So, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know. They definitely need to change it up, but I hope that they do. It's in Toronto next year, so hopefully they do change it up and things get better there because it's not getting good. And I tweeted it out, and Doug McLean retweeted it, and then it blew up. So that tweet got a lot of traction for sure. So, and
Well,
then,
do you think they need to do something similar to like MLB where, the winning team gets home ice advantage in the finals, something like that?
yeah, oh yeah, that would be
Like make this
something.
game worth something. Like make guys want to go, make guys want to compete.
Oh yeah, I think something like that definitely needs to happen for sure. So I'd be very like, I don't know, man. You got to do something. I just think maybe going back to the old way it was, I think would be really helpful. Well, if like I think that's kind of a one way you could go about it, but it's a tough one. The players don't really want to be involved either, right? So
I'll be shocked if it's similar next year.
yeah,
Like I think the NHL has heard the fans loud and clear this year.
yeah, and I think some people in the NHL saw it too, and there's some cringeworthy moments for sure. But Sidney Crosby talked about the playoff format. That's something we teased on with Vernon. We talked about with Vernon Fiddler. We won't go too much into it because I think Vern had some really good thoughts in the next episode that drops on this. But I think Crosby's right. When a guy like Crosby talks, you got to listen. McDavid said the same thing too. I think they need to change the playoff system too. And, that's Gary, and Gary being him, he usually likes to say, you know, what's not broken, don't fix. And, but when you got your best players of the game, the best player in the game is Sidney Crosby and probably top five player in Connor McDavid saying what they're saying, then you got to kind of really listen, in my opinion. So, but yeah, we'll definitely kind of figure that out for sure. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but hopefully it changes. Or
Well, even if you go back to our Doug Gilmore interview, he said the exact same thing. It needs to go back to 1 versus 8.
yeah,
I believe Ron McLean said something similar as well, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. Ever since I've updated my Zoom here, my video goes in and out. So sorry about that, but yeah, hopefully something happens, and some of the key players in our game have I think they've spoken up enough, and I think it's something the NHL needs to take a look at. I just want to get your thoughts here. We'll move on to a few other little things here. Braden Point, what's your thoughts on Braden Point as a player? Obviously, Calgary kid. He's got 31 goals on the year now. Like, just what a unbelievable career he keeps on having for himself here. But your thoughts on him?
It's one of those things where it's like who's sitting around watching Tampa Bay games, and if you're not, you should be because he's an exciting player to watch.
Yeah.
He's just like a little jitterbug out there. Like he just runs around and he's not scared. He gets into the places he needs to get in, and he's got a shot on him too. Like this kid can play. Like, he is a good player.
Right, he fought last
Uh,
game, the San Jose game. I know the,
yeah.
but he could score, he can check, he can fight, he can hit. Like he can do it all, man. He can win faceoffs. He's. I just don't know if we talk about him enough, Phil, because like I think he's in that conversation of like the Barkovs, the Lindholms, the Ahos, where they're so good, but we don't talk about them as not enough. And I do think Braden Port needs to be in that conversation of the Selkie too, because he plays on the penalty kill as well, and I think the guy is unreal, and he does probably get talked, but I don't think he just gets talked enough because I think the Kucherovs and the Stamkos and those guys and the Hedmans and the Vasilevskis get talked.
That team is still so stacked,
It's
hey?
unreal. Like I said this to my brother tonight at dinner. I was like, we already know Toronto and Tampa Bay are playing each other, but there's nothing between now and March 3rd I'm not making excuses ahead, but I'm just saying it is what it is. But there's nothing Kyle Dubas ain't getting a Vasilevsky from now until then. He's not getting a Victor Hedman, so like he's not getting a Sergachev. Like that's just not happening. So
Right.
no, Tampa Bay is going to find a way to get better because they always do. Every trade deadline, they find a way to get a Coleman or a Goudreau or whatever. They got Hagel last year, and I know Toronto took him to Game 7 and lost by 1 goal, but I don't know, man. That team's it's going to be a tough out too, and I think that's the best division in hockey. It has been for such a long time. I don't even think it's even close. The Boston's been like a powerhouse team. Toronto's been a powerhouse. I mean, Tampa Bay's been a powerhouse team. Like the amount of cups that those two teams alone have gone to and won says a lot. Like it's
Right.
so that division is hands down the best division in hockey. Anyone wants to say otherwise, I don't think you watch the game enough to acknowledge that because the skill and the speed and the size, the defenseman and the goaltending is unreal there. And it won't be easy for Toronto, regardless whoever they play in the first round. And it's not going to get easier if somehow they come over that hurdle and get into the second round too. But and that's kind of what hockey should be about. But I think the point is it's an injustice that both Tampa Bay or Toronto could be out in the first round, and that's like those teams should be, either like
Meeting later. They need to meet later in the playoffs.
exactly kind of thing, right? So, but yeah, I think Braden Point doesn't get talked about enough. We'll stick in that division. And another reason why I think that division is the best in the game is the Buffalo Sabres are coming on and they're doing their thing. Great to see there. But Dylan Cousins gets a big contract extension. Thoughts on the 7 years, 7.1 million deal that he got, around $49 million contract. His agent is a friend of our show, Elaine Law. Thoughts on Cousins getting that deal, and well deserved.
People look at the Draisaitl deal and think how much of a discount that is. I think Dylan Cousins is going to be in that same conversation in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid could, like, he's such a good player. I got to see him live this year in Edmonton, and sees the ice so well. He's, like I said, I think it's going to be a discount deal in a couple of years, and people are going to be like, man, how did they get him? How did they get him for that cheap? Because salaries are just going up, right, in the NHL. Like, what's McDavid's next contract going to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
And I think Rashog or someone said it today or whatever. Like there's going to be at least 1 year if Draisaitl resigns here, because his contract's up a year before McDavid's is that we'll see Draisaitl probably make more money than McDavid for at least one season. That's if Draisaitl resigns in Edmonton.
Right.
Only playoff success will do that, right? So, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to kind of see how that shakes out. And I think he's a great player. I think we're seeing the Tage Thompsons and like the Tucks and the Skinners kind of brought is rejuvenated. He's brought back, and Darlene's good, and Samuelson's good, and Owen Power, 100% in my opinion. Owen Power is the rookie of the year in my opinion. This guy doesn't get enough play, doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing. I don't know what your thoughts on Power is, and that's just that Buffalo team.
Yeah, I said it a few podcasts ago. Like, watching this guy, like, um, he reminds me of Jay Bomeister, just steady Eddie on the blue line, and he's He's going to take care of things back there. He's going to keep that team calm. Dude, the Buffalo Sabres future is bright.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Like if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, you should be smiling right now. I know it's been a tough go, but all of this is going to be worth it because they're going to be an awesome team. They're going to be fun to watch. They
Same
already
with,
are. They're fun to watch this year.
same with
Again, I
Ottawa
mean,
too.
going back to what we've been saying earlier. Go watch some of these teams. These teams are so fun to watch. Like I watch the Flames every night. It's boring. The Flames games are actually quite boring. You go watch some of these other teams. Go watch the Buffalo Sabres. They're fun to watch.
High pace, fast. They can hit. Yeah, just it's a good game, and I think Ottawa too is in that conversation. If they can get a goaltender,
Yep.
be a team to be reckoned with. Again, another team in that division that's really good, and Montreal eventually will get there. I think Montreal is maybe 2 years away right now. But they're like they get a goaltender, and it's hard to get these goaltenders. I doubt Carey Price is coming back, but if he does, and I think it'd be tough to have a year off and do what he did. But it's I know he hasn't officially retired yet, so we'll see what happens maybe next year. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's be interesting to see kind of how things shake out in the East here in the playoff picture, and things are shaping up pretty good in the West. And we've got another good game tonight. This game between Minnesota and Dallas is a bit of a feisty one. Looks like Reeves and Ben were about to go, and they didn't. They both kind of just skated away from each other. But and Ryan Reeves, no goals on the year, but he definitely makes an impact out there for his team. So Jamie Benn just looking back at the replay, he's just laughing at him and just chirping him, and he's kind of Reeves getting all mad. So and congrats to Jamie Benn. We had some good stories about him with Vernon Fiddler too. But we'll finish up on this one, Philly. Kind of got little bit long here, but your thoughts on Patrick Kane, his comments of I'll probably cherish these last few home games, just with the trade deadline looming, and there's no certainty he's going to stay or he's going to leave. But thoughts on those comments, and I kind of hope he doesn't leave. To be honest, I'd love to see Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves to boot stay in Chicago and see this rebuild through. And I think they'll get Bedard, and I think no two other better players to have around you with for Bedard as those guys. But I hope they stay where they are.
As like you guys all know I'm a Flames fan, and I had to go through this exact same thing with Jerome McGinley. And I think that was the only time as a hockey fan that something that wasn't personal to me that got a big lump in my throat. And it was super, super sad night. The night I heard Jerome McGinley got traded from the Calgary Flames. So I definitely know how Chicago Blackhawk fans feel. It'd be good to get Rev's take on this too. Like, unfortunately, he's not with us tonight, but uh, as a fan of a player who's been on your team for a long time and a definite cornerstone and your best player, the possibility of them moving on is definitely super sad. It's a little different because Jerome, like I knew Jerome was chasing a Stanley Cup, and rightfully so. He wasn't going to get it in Calgary. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he does stay because he does have the cups with Chicago. Like what else does he want, right? He got paid. He got his cups.
Yeah.
What else would he want? Like maybe another shot at it, but
Yeah, I think in my opinion, you've got everything you need, and I think just staying there and seeing the rebuild through would be very helpful for them. I know they can get pieces back for those guys, but you know, I just because there's the talk today is like who in Arizona would guide Connor Bedard through this, but you already got the pieces in Chicago. Maybe you do trade Tate. Maybe you do trade.
Zach Cassian.
Yeah, it could be him. Yeah, it's actually interesting. That's another pod. We're going late here, but I'll tease that a bit here. If you look at the numbers between Matthew Tkachuk and Zach Cassian since those 3 hits in Calgary, it is unreal. Like the demise of like Kachuk's career just skyrocketed and Cassian's just dropped. It's mind boggling, but both first round picks in a way, but yeah, just I think that changed Cassian going forward there. Kachuk really got in his head, and at the end of the day, I think the long battle was won by the Calgary Flames winning that Battle of Alberta in that kind of rivalry there. So we'll see what happens in the next little installment here, because it hasn't been a battle. Like these 3 games that they played each other this year were just, they're not entertaining at all, really. So
And was the playoffs last year even a battle?
yeah, there's no fights in them, right?
No.
There's more fights in the preseason tilts with these teams than there are in the regular season and the playoffs. It's crazy. So, but yeah, I think we'll finish up on that. Hope everyone enjoys this episode. Thanks to all our sponsors, and also thanks to Phil for joining in. And I hope everyone likes their Vernon Fiddler that's interview coming up here on Friday. So enjoy that. Take some time and enjoy some family time with your friends and your family, and it costs $0 to be kind to people. So just spread that joy and spread that love. Phil, you have any final comments you want to make?
No, enjoy the weather right now here in Edmonton. It's like been beautiful.
Yeah, for quite a
So
while here.
enjoy the weather. Like Bosco said, enjoy your family and friends and
Yeah, be kind. So take
be
care.
kind. Take care.
Let's chat soon.